The power of self-image, becoming what you believe you are. Everything in your life begins and ends with how you see yourself. Your self-image is the thermostat of your destiny. You will never rise above the picture you hold in your own mind. If you see yourself as average, you will act average, attract average, and live an average life. But if you see yourself as the best created by God with divine potential, equipped with purpose, and destined for greatness, then everything in your life will begin to align with that belief. You are not waiting for the world to validate you. You are waiting for your own belief to activate you. The truth is, most people have been programmed to think small. From childhood, you were told to be realistic, to play it safe, to stay humble in a way that hides your light instead of letting it shine. And so, many walk around with an internal identity that says, I'm not enough. But the problem is not the world, the economy, or the competition. The problem is the mirror you look into every morning. Because the reflection you believe determines the direction you move. You cannot outperform the belief you have about yourself. You can grind, you can work, you can hustle, but if deep down you believe you're not worthy of greatness, you will sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. When you begin to act as if you are the best, something shifts in your spirit. You stop waiting for permission and start walking in authority. You stop trying to fit in and start standing out. Because when you believe that God has placed something extraordinary within you, you no longer see yourself as less than anyone else. You understand that humility isn't pretending to be weak, it's knowing your strength and using it for good. The power of self-image is that it sets the tone for everything you do. If you see yourself as a champion, you'll prepare like one, move like one, and speak like one. The energy of your belief will radiate before you even open your mouth. But here's the secret most people miss. Acting as if you're the best doesn't mean you're pretending. It means you're aligning your behavior with the truth of who you really are. You were created in the image of greatness. You were designed with excellence in your DNA. You were built by the same hands that shaped mountains and oceans. So, when you act with confidence, when you walk with purpose, when you stand tall, even when life tries to break you, you're not faking it, you're waking it up. You're awakening the divine greatness within you that's been buried under fear, doubt, and the opinions of others. Your self-image is a product of your inner dialogue. What do you say to yourself when nobody is listening? Do you speak words that lift your spirit, or do you replay failures and flaws? Because whatever you tell yourself repeatedly becomes your truth. The best don't talk themselves out of success, they talk themselves into alignment with success. They remind themselves of who they are, even when the results haven't caught up yet. They understand that transformation starts internally before it manifests externally. The man or woman who wins in life is the one who wins in the mind first. The power of self-image also determines how you handle adversity. When challenges come, people with a weak self-image crumble because they see problems as confirmation of their inadequacy. But those who see themselves as powerful, capable, and chosen interpret challenges differently. They see them as training. They understand that pressure doesn't destroy value, it reveals it. Diamonds are created under pressure. So when life tests you, don't lower your self-image, elevate it. Remind yourself that you were built to withstand storms, that every difficulty is refining your greatness, not defining your limits. You must also understand that acting like the best is about excellence, not ego. Ego is fragile, it seeks validation from others. Excellence is eternal, it seeks mastery from within. When you act as if you are the best, you are not claiming superiority over others, you are claiming responsibility for becoming the fullest version of yourself. You are saying, I refuse to play small when I was designed for something big. You are saying, I will not hide my gift because someone else feels uncomfortable around greatness. Acting as if you're the best means showing up every day with the discipline, focus, and belief that your best self deserves to lead your life, not your insecurities. This mindset also affects the people around you. When you operate with a high self-image, you attract those who believe in excellence, discipline, and growth. Mediocre people will feel uncomfortable, but that's okay. You weren't meant to make everyone comfortable, you were meant to make an impact. Your belief will inspire others to raise their standards. When they see you act with confidence and integrity, they start questioning their own limitations. That's leadership, that's influence, that's how world changers are made. The world doesn't change through imitation, it changes through conviction. Now, you must guard your self-image fiercely. Don't let social media, opinions, or temporary failures distort your view of yourself. You are not defined by your mistakes, you are refined by them. You are not your past, you are your potential. Every day, remind yourself of your worth. Speak words that build your faith. Feed your mind with truth and your soul with purpose. Because your outer world will always mirror your inner belief. If you want to rise higher, build a stronger image of who you are becoming. The power of self-image is this: once you see yourself as the best, you stop living like the rest. You stop competing and start creating. You stop doubting and start declaring. You stop surviving and start thriving. The moment you see yourself as chosen, called, and capable, you walk differently, talk differently, and think differently. You no longer ask for a seat at the table. You build your own table and invite others to rise with you. So today, act as if you are the best, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because the world doesn't need more people pretending to be small. It needs men and women who dare to believe that greatness is not a title, but an identity. And when you live from that truth, there is no competition, only confirmation of who you were always meant to be. Walking in confidence, not arrogance. There is a divine difference between confidence and arrogance, and it's one that separates the truly great from the temporarily loud. Arrogance is noisy, built on insecurity, while confidence is quiet, built on truth. Arrogance tries to prove something to others. Confidence knows something within. When you begin to act as if you are the best, you must understand that your foundation cannot be ego, it must be faith, discipline, and purpose. True confidence is not about thinking you are better than people. It's about knowing that you have been called to operate at your highest potential because of who created you and what He placed inside of you. Arrogance depends on comparison, but confidence is rooted in conviction. Arrogance says, I'm more than you. Confidence says, I'm more than I used to be. Confidence starts with alignment. When you know who you are and whose you are, you walk differently. You no longer seek validation because you understand you already carry value. You don't beg for opportunities because you create them through obedience, consistency, and preparation. Confidence is when your spirit remembers its divine assignment. It's when you no longer let your feelings determine your movement. You move with intention because you are no longer trying to impress people, you are trying to fulfill purpose. When you are confident, your actions speak louder than your words, and your results silence every doubt that ever tried to define you. People mistake humility for self-doubt. But humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself accurately according to what God says about you. Confidence is humility expressed through excellence. It's when you say, I know I'm capable because I've been equipped. I know I'm chosen because I've been prepared. Confidence is the evidence that you've accepted your assignment. Arrogance is the mask of someone still running from it. You see, the arrogant person is fragile. The moment they fail, their image shatters. The confident person learns from failure because their value isn't attached to perfection, it's attached to purpose. Confidence allows you to take risks, to stretch beyond comfort, to try and fail and rise again, because you understand that failure doesn't change your identity, it refines it. Arrogance avoids challenges out of fear of exposure. Confidence embraces them as an opportunity for elevation. The confident know that every test reveals a deeper layer of strength. Confidence is also contagious. When you walk in it, you give others permission to rise. You inspire people not through talk, but through presence. People feel your certainty, they feel your peace. Confidence carries a frequency that attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. The arrogant crave attention, the confident attract alignment. The arrogant want followers, the confident build leaders. The arrogant seek approval, the confident seek impact. To walk in confidence, you must silence the inner critic. That voice that tells you you're not enough, that whispers about your flaws, that reminds you of what went wrong last time, that voice is not your truth. That's the voice of fear dressed as logic. Confidence comes when you choose faith over fear, action over anxiety, growth over comfort. It's not about having it all figured out, it's about trusting that what you have is enough to begin. Confidence is built in motion. You can't think your way into it, you have to walk your way into it, one obedient step at a time. The reason so many never develop true confidence is because they want approval before they take action. They wait for the world to clap before they perform. But confidence doesn't wait for applause, it creates it. You act boldly not because you know everything will work out, but because you know that even if it doesn't, you'll still grow stronger. Confidence isn't the absence of doubt, it's the decision to move anyway. The secret is that real confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It's quiet power, it's presence. It's calm under pressure. It's when you can stand in a room full of noise and not be moved by opinions. Confidence is peace in the midst of chaos, not pride in the midst of applause. The confident person doesn't need to dominate a conversation because they already dominate their mindset. Their authority doesn't come from volume, it comes from vision. Confidence also comes from preparation. The more you prepare, the less you have to pretend. When you've done the work, when you've invested time, effort, and faith into your craft, your confidence becomes unshakable. Arrogance shows up unprepared and overestimates ability. Confidence shows up prepared and trusts the process. Confidence doesn't need shortcuts because it understands that consistency builds credibility, and when credibility grows, confidence multiplies. Confidence also thrives on gratitude. When you recognize that every gift, every opportunity, every bit of progress is grace, it humbles you while empowering you. Gratitude keeps confidence pure. It keeps your spirit clean so that your success never turns into pride. Gratitude reminds you that even though you're the best at what you do, you're still a servant of purpose. Confidence that's rooted in gratitude never becomes arrogance. It becomes leadership. It becomes influence. Walking in confidence is not about being louder than others. It's about being louder than your doubts. It's about training your mind to believe that you belong wherever purpose has placed you. It's about realizing that you have nothing to prove but everything to give. Confidence doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you've learned to function above it. You've learned to stand tall when everything around you tries to shrink your belief. When you walk in true confidence, people notice the difference. They may not understand it, but they'll feel it. You carry yourself with purpose. You speak with clarity. You act with precision. You're not rushing. You're rising. You're not competing. You're becoming. You don't need to shout that you're great. You simply live like it. That's what separates the arrogant from the anointed. The arrogant say it to convince themselves. The confident live it to inspire others. So today, don't just walk like you belong. Walk like you've been sent. Don't just talk like you believe. Act like it. You don't have to force confidence. You have to remember it. It's already inside you. It's the natural expression of knowing who you are, what you're here for, and who equipped you for the journey. Confidence is the fruit of faith and discipline. Walk in it, breathe it, own it. Because once you do, arrogance disappears, and purpose begins to speak louder than pride ever could. Faith in action, acting like the best before you see the results. Faith without movement is fantasy. Many people say they believe, but their actions reveal hesitation, doubt, and fear. The truth is, faith is not proven by what you say, it's proven by what you do when you can't yet see the outcome. To act as if you are the best before the results show up is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's saying, I may not have the crown yet, but I will carry myself like royalty because that's how I was created. Faith is not waiting for confirmation, faith is moving with conviction. If you wait until everything looks perfect, you'll never step into the promise that was designed for you. You see, faith is the invisible currency of success. It's what buys your future before it's visible to the world. Every person who ever accomplished anything extraordinary started with faith. They didn't wait to feel ready, they acted ready. They didn't wait for conditions to be ideal, they made them ideal through their consistency, discipline, and unwavering belief. Acting like the best before you see results means living as if the vision is already reality. You walk, speak, and work like someone who knows the outcome is already secured. You're not reacting to circumstances, you're manifesting conviction. Faith in action is powerful because it creates momentum. The moment you move, even in uncertainty, the universe begins to respond. Opportunities appear, connections form, strength grows, and clarity arrives not before you act, but because you act. Too many people sit and wait for motivation, but motivation is a byproduct of motion. The best understand that feelings follow action, not the other way around. When you start moving like you believe, your mind adjusts, your confidence strengthens, and your results begin to mirror your movement. Acting like the best also means carrying a standard before you have an audience. You don't wait for people to notice you before you start showing up with excellence. You show up with excellence first, and then the world notices. This is the hidden discipline of champions. They live by a higher standard even when nobody's watching. They give their best when there's no applause. They build when others are sleeping. They pray when others are complaining. They practice when others are procrastinating. Because they understand that faith is not just belief, it's preparation. If you truly believe you're called to greatness, you prepare like it before it arrives. Faith in action also means speaking differently. Your words shape your reality. You can't talk like a victim and expect to live like a victor. You can't speak defeat and expect to experience destiny. When you act as if you are the best, your language changes. You start speaking from confidence, not confusion. You declare who you are becoming instead of describing what you fear. The best don't let circumstances write their story, they let faith narrate it. You begin to see obstacles not as walls but as weights, designed to strengthen you for the next level. Acting like the best before results show up also requires emotional discipline. You can't let temporary setbacks make you question eternal truths. There will be moments when it looks like nothing is working. The doors will stay closed, people won't believe in you, and progress will feel invisible. That's when faith is truly tested. That's when your ability to act like the best, even in silence, even in obscurity, determines your destiny. Most people quit right before the breakthrough because they confuse waiting with wasting. Waiting in faith is never wasted. Every day you keep showing up, every seed you keep planting, every prayer you keep speaking, it's all compounding behind the scenes. The danger of waiting for results to build confidence is that you give control of your destiny to your circumstances, but faith reverses that order. Faith says, I don't need to see it to believe it, I believe it so I'll see it. Faith leads and feelings follow. That's why you must act like the best now, not someday. You don't wait to feel qualified, you act qualified. You don't wait to feel ready, you prepare daily. Because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's the decision to show up like the best version of yourself every single day, no matter what you face. Faith in action also changes the way you handle failure. People without faith see failure as the end. People with faith see failure as feedback. They understand that mistakes don't disqualify them, they develop them. When you act like the best, you expect setbacks, but you don't stay stuck in them. You learn, you adjust, you grow, and you move again. Every failure refines your focus and builds your resilience. You don't fall apart because you're rooted in something deeper than results. You're rooted in belief. Faith in action transforms identity. The more you act like the best, the more you become it. Behavior precedes belief, and repetition reinforces reality. When you keep showing up like a leader, like a visionary, like someone destined to win, you train your subconscious to align with that identity. It's not pretending, it's programming. You're writing a new script for your life through your consistent, faith-driven actions. The more you walk in it, the more your outer world bends to your inner conviction. And let's be clear, acting like the best doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you don't let fear make the decisions. Fear screams, what if it doesn't work? Faith whispers, what if it does? Every great person you admire faced fear, but they didn't let it paralyze them. They let it propel them. They turned fear into fuel. They used uncertainty as a reason to depend more on vision and less on validation. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, it overrules it. It commands the mind to move even when the heart is trembling. So when you act as if you are the best before you see the results, you are walking in spiritual law. You are calling things that are not as though they are. You are stepping into the unseen realm of faith where results are already waiting for those bold enough to act. You are saying, I trust the process even when I can't trace it. You're declaring that your destiny is not a distant dream, it's a daily decision. Faith in action separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what turns potential into performance, vision into manifestation, belief into blessing. When you walk with faith before the results, you create a force that can't be ignored. You stop chasing success and start attracting it. Because when your actions are aligned with faith, your life begins to reflect favor. You're no longer living from what you see, you're living from what you know. So stop waiting to see the finish line before you start running. Stop waiting for applause before you perform. Start moving like the best now. Speak like it, work like it, believe like it. Because faith doesn't wait for proof, it creates it. And the moment you start acting like the best before you see the results, heaven starts rearranging everything to match your belief. That's when your life begins to shift, your confidence strengthens, and your destiny starts unfolding exactly as it was meant to. Eliminating inferiority, breaking free from comparison. Comparison is the silent killer of confidence. It steals joy, weakens purpose, and blinds you from your own divine assignment. The reason most people never experience greatness is not because they lack ability, it's because they're too busy measuring themselves by someone else's progress. The spirit of comparison breeds inferiority, and inferiority creates paralysis. When you compare your journey to another's, you deny the uniqueness of your calling. You start chasing shadows instead of pursuing substance. The moment you believe that someone else's success threatens yours, you've forgotten who you are and where your value truly comes from. You were never designed to compete for validation. You were designed to complete a vision. The kingdom never intended for people to imitate each other. It intended for people to manifest the image of their Creator in their own lane. Every person carries a unique blueprint that cannot be duplicated. But when you live through the lens of comparison, you disconnect from that blueprint. You begin to doubt your design, delay your development, and diminish your destiny. The trap is subtle. You start scrolling, observing, admiring, and before you realize it, admiration turns into envy. Inspiration turns into insecurity. You start to feel behind, even though you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You see, the danger of comparison is that it shifts your focus from process to perception. You start performing for approval instead of progressing through purpose. You start making decisions to impress instead of decisions to improve. And that's why so many gifted people are exhausted, not because they're working too hard, but because they're working for the wrong reason. They're trying to prove instead of becoming. Comparison keeps you in a loop of performance anxiety. You're never enough, never satisfied, never content, because there's always someone doing something that looks better. But what you don't realize is that every highlight you admire has a hidden story of pain, process, and persistence. Breaking free from comparison begins when you recognize that your value is internal, not external. You are not valuable because of what you achieve. You are valuable because of who you are becoming. Your worth was established before you ever produced a result. That's why inferiority is an illusion. It's a distortion of identity. You start feeling less than because you've forgotten your origin. You were made in the image of excellence itself. You were created with intention, precision, and power. There's no comparison because there's no copy. The moment you understand that, you stop competing and start creating. To eliminate inferiority, you must shift your focus from others to your own assignment. Every person is called to cultivate a specific field. When you water someone else's ground, you leave your own dry. You can't harvest from a place you never planted. The secret to peace is staying planted where you're called. Growth happens in obedience, not observation. Stop watching what everyone else is doing and start asking, what am I being prepared for? Your progress may look slower, quieter, or smaller, but faithfulness in the hidden season produces fruit in the appointed season. When you live by comparison, you judge your chapter 1 by someone else's chapter 20. You look at their platform, but not their preparation. You see their elevation, but not their endurance. And in doing so, you rob yourself of gratitude for where you are. Gratitude breaks the spirit of inferiority because it trains your mind to see blessings instead of gaps. The more thankful you become for what you have, the more capable you feel of creating more. Gratitude doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. It reminds you that you already possess what many people are still praying for. Breaking free from comparison also requires emotional maturity. You must be able to celebrate others without questioning yourself. The mature mind says, their success is proof that mine is possible. You clap for others not out of obligation, but out of confidence. You understand that abundance is not limited. Just because someone else wins doesn't mean you lose. The kingdom operates on multiplication, not competition. When you rejoice for others, you align yourself with increase. But when you resent others, you repel it. Envy attracts lack. Gratitude attracts growth. Inferiority feeds off insecurity, and insecurity is born from ignorance. The less you understand your purpose, the more you need people's approval. When you know who you are, you no longer need permission to shine. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You realize that humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking accurately about yourself. It's recognizing that your greatness doesn't threaten others, and their greatness doesn't diminish you. There's enough light for everyone who dares to rise. You must also discipline your thoughts when the enemy tries to whisper lies of comparison. He'll tell you you're not as gifted, not as loved, not as successful. He'll use the illusion of timing to make you doubt your own path. But understand this delay is not denial. Your timing is tailored. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not coming. The Creator is not late, He's strategic. Every waiting season is a training season. Every unseen moment is a setup for your unveiling. To break the habit of comparison, replace observation with action. Instead of spending hours watching others, spend hours building yourself. Read, study, pray, practice, plan. Grow in silence. Improve your skills. Strengthen your discipline. The more you focus on development, the less time you have for distraction. Growth destroys comparison because it keeps your eyes forward. You can't move into your future if you're constantly staring at someone else's lane. When you act like the best, you stop comparing yourself to others and start competing only with your potential. Every day you ask, am I better than I was yesterday? That's the only comparison that matters. Because destiny is not about speed, it's about direction. You can be moving fast but still going nowhere. The wise know that consistent progress is more powerful than constant performance. Faithfulness over time always wins over flashes of success. Breaking free from comparison also means letting go of jealousy disguised as judgment. Sometimes people criticize what they secretly envy. They downplay others' success to justify their own stagnation. But maturity requires honesty. If you feel jealous, don't hide it, heal it. Jealousy is a signal, not a sentence. It reveals what you desire but haven't yet cultivated. Instead of resenting it, study it. Learn from what inspires you. Turn envy into education. Let other people's success remind you of what's possible when faith meets discipline. Remember, inferiority cannot survive in the presence of purpose. When you are consumed with what you're called to do, you don't have time to compare. Purpose keeps your focus pure. Purpose keeps your energy productive. The moment you lock in on your assignment, distraction loses its power. You realize that no one can beat you at being you. You don't need to be louder, richer, or more popular. You just need to be consistent in your calling. So stop comparing and start becoming. Stop looking sideways and start looking upward. Stop measuring yourself by other people's moments and start measuring yourself by your mission. You were never meant to fit into their story. You were born to write your own. And when you finally stop competing for recognition and start operating in revelation, that's when peace returns. That's when confidence flows. That's when you walk boldly, speak clearly, and move powerfully, not because you're better, but because you're free. Freedom from comparison is not the absence of ambition, it's the presence of clarity. It's knowing that you can admire others without abandoning yourself. It's realizing that God didn't make you to be a copy, He made you to be evidence. You are proof of divine creativity. So stop diluting your light. Stop apologizing for your difference. Walk tall. Speak strong. Act like the best, not in arrogance, but in authority. Because once you break free from comparison, you don't just rise, you help others rise with you. The mindset of mastery, becoming unshakable and unstoppable. Mastery begins in the mind long before it shows up in your movement. Before a man dominates a skill, a craft, or a calling, he must first dominate his own thinking. Most people fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they never learn to rule their inner world. The difference between those who make history and those who disappear in it is not talent, it's mastery. Mastery over emotions, mastery over distractions, mastery over fear. The untrained mind becomes the greatest enemy of your destiny, but the renewed mind becomes the engine that drives you to greatness. When you master your mind, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You don't move based on how you feel, you move based on what you know. Feelings are temporary, but principles are permanent. The mature mind knows that discipline outlasts emotion. It doesn't matter if you're tired, frustrated, or unmotivated, you show up because mastery demands consistency. That's why most people never reach excellence. They let their moods decide their movement. But the masters understand that emotions are servants, not leaders. They feel what they feel, but they move anyway. They understand that purpose doesn't bow to pain, it commands it to serve. Becoming unshakable begins when you stop negotiating with weakness. Weakness will always offer you excuses dressed as logic. It will whisper, "You've done enough today," when you've barely begun. It will convince you to settle, to slow down, to take the easy route. But the mindset of mastery knows that ease is a trap. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. You were not built for easy, you were built for evolution. Every challenge is a classroom, every setback is a syllabus, and every season of struggle is a study in self-control. When you learn to extract wisdom from adversity, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What's this teaching me?" The unshakable mind doesn't break under pressure, it builds under pressure. It understands that storms don't come to destroy, they come to strengthen. Diamonds aren't made in silence, they're made under force. You must stop praying for smaller problems and start building greater capacity. Because when your capacity increases, life stops feeling impossible. You realize that the obstacle was never the issue, it was your perspective. Change your perspective and you change your power. When you view opposition as opportunity, resistance becomes fuel. The unstoppable mindset also understands the law of endurance. Success isn't won in a day, it's earned over time through repetition, patience, and persistence. Masters understand that what you repeat becomes what you reflect. Every great performer, every great leader, every great creator has spent years refining what others see for only moments. They endure boredom, isolation, and misunderstanding because they see beyond the now. The masses quit when it's hard. The masters grow harder when it's hard. They realize that consistency compounds. Every small act of excellence builds invisible equity. One day, that invisible equity becomes undeniable evidence of greatness. To be unstoppable, you must guard your focus like treasure. Distraction is the enemy of dominion. You cannot master what you don't give full attention to. Most people are busy, but few are productive. Busyness is activity without accuracy. It feels like progress, but produces nothing. The mind of mastery lives by clarity. It doesn't waste thought on gossip, envy, or fear. It understands that focus is the seed of power. Whatever you focus on grows, so if you focus on lack, you multiply lack. If you focus on abundance, you multiply opportunity. You become what you continually concentrate on. That's why you must train your mind daily, feeding it truth, affirming identity, and rejecting distraction. And when doubt tries to creep in, and it will, the master doesn't panic. He pauses, reflects, and realigns. Doubt doesn't intimidate him, it informs him, it reminds him where his faith needs reinforcement. You don't destroy doubt by ignoring it, you destroy it by replacing it with evidence. Every time you act in faith, you create new proof, and over time that proof builds confidence that can't be shaken. Faith is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. The unstoppable mind treats fear like a signal, not to retreat, but to rise. Another mark of mastery is emotional stability. The masters have learned that emotion without control is chaos. You can't lead, love, or build effectively if your emotions rule your decisions. The moment you let anger, jealousy, or insecurity dictate your actions, you give away your power. The mature mind feels deeply, but moves wisely. It learns to pause before responding, to reflect before reacting. That pause is where wisdom lives. Emotional mastery is not about feeling less, it's about feeling fully without being ruled by what you feel. Unshakable people also walk in silence. They don't announce every move, they prepare in private. While the world is distracted by noise, they're building systems, strategies, and strength. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. The less you explain, the more you expand. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth when your results speak for you. The master understands timing. They know when to speak, when to act, and when to wait. They don't rush the process because they trust that excellence takes time. The unstoppable mindset also walks in gratitude. Gratitude is the anchor that keeps the soul steady in storms. When you remain thankful, you remain teachable. Gratitude turns frustration into focus because it reminds you of how far you've already come. It shifts your perspective from scarcity to sufficiency, and in that space of appreciation, peace grows. The mind that is grateful cannot be easily broken. It's too aware of its blessings. Gratitude builds resilience because it rewires your attention from pain to purpose. To maintain mastery, you must surround yourself with alignment, not approval. The people around you shape your standards. Masters walk with builders, thinkers, and believers. They don't waste energy proving themselves to those who misunderstand them. They seek environments that challenge, not comfort. Iron sharpens iron, so if your circle doesn't stretch you, it's shrinking you. Every conversation should lift your thinking, not lower your frequency. Ultimately, the mindset of mastery is spiritual. It's about submission to something higher than ego. The master understands that self-control is divine control. You don't conquer the world by force, you conquer it by faith, wisdom, and obedience. Every great transformation begins with surrender, not striving. You surrender the need to control everything and trust the process that's shaping you, because mastery is not perfection, it's progress with purpose. It's waking up every day saying, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm committed to becoming who I'm meant to be. The unshakable person doesn't look for shortcuts because they understand that shortcuts cut character. They embrace the full weight of the process, knowing that pressure produces power. You can't be unstoppable if you avoid the uncomfortable. Growth is supposed to stretch you, and every time you stretch, your spirit expands. So when it hurts, don't retreat, refine. When it feels impossible, don't quit, grow. The mind that endures becomes the life that excels. To become unshakable and unstoppable, build your foundation on principles, not feelings, on discipline, not convenience, on faith, not fear. Keep your eyes forward, your spirit anchored, and your heart grateful, because once your mind is mastered, the world can't move you. The storms may come, critics may rise, delays may test you, but you remain steady. You walk with quiet confidence, knowing that what's inside you is greater than what's around you. That is mastery, not perfection, but power under control.